Okay, so we're in September now, and I thought I'd do a video on the Delta combine that was new to us this year, and all the things that went wrong with it, of which there were plenty. So it hadn't been particularly pampered. Right, so we're starting in the cab since I've just had to move it out of the shed. So on this screen, this here, the speed, will yellow out, so there'll be a yellow bar appear across there, and the speed won't work. That it seems to do it if you change the settings on the combine. That goes yellow. It's weird. Apparently, that's a known software thing. Chap I was talking to has been in touch with AGCO. There's software that will sort that out. So, okay, fair enough. Then another thing it does is the rotor speed, which is this one. So the rotors will be running, you start the barn work up, that will show the RPM of the rotors, yet somewhere else, just here on a warning thing, this isn't a warning, but that one reads 0. So this one's telling you what they're doing, and this one will say 0 and a warning will go off straight away. Okay, so that's weird because there's only one speed sensor, so it's not like it's got two and one isn't working. So it's obviously this is getting its reading from that, but for some reason it's not talking to this bit there. Well, that sounds like a software thing as well, doesn't it? So we'll have to find out about that. The other thing that's happening, or was, although I haven't seen it lately, this Massey spreader where you can alter the speed of the two spreading discs at the back, that wasn't really making any difference. So I'll look at that this year as well. Although it did turn itself off when the chopper was out, so that's good. Although it did say it was moving, which occasionally, which is bad. But that is wants checking out over the winter. Right, that's pretty much it for the cab. Everything, I haven't overly looked into this thing yet, this yield meter. I haven't worked the yield meter out. I've been so we're not sure if that all works. The moisture meter seems to say what it feels like, so that might need looking at as well, although quite frankly I don't overly care about that. Certainly not going to spend any money on it. So we'll have a look outside. Okay, so moving to the outside, this was not adjusted, so the table would come off with these with these clamps in. So that just needed a bit of adjustment, but someone had been using it like that. Then coming around here on the central greasing, this wasn't greasing, so no grease was getting to that pivot point at all, and quite frankly I don't think ever had. Anyway, it is now. This all reverser all works good. Obviously we had the whole issue with the rear beater. That was a really big one, so perhaps I'll talk a bit more when we get to the other side. But on this side, the variator was leaking both at this end with the O-rings here and on the inside where it slides in and out, which I sorted out when I took that rear beater out. So that was a problem with that. These, you can't really see them. These hangers here, they're got rubber bushes on each end and hold the front grain pan. I had to replace both of them. They were really badly worn. It was wobbling about all over the place. This is all okay. This could be where it's supposed to be caught. That was just hanging down, blew down and made really dusty conditions, because that's got quite a blow in it. I don't know whether how they would have come, but I've angled that back like that. Works like a charm. This leaks. There's nothing wrong with it, it's tight, it just leaks. You can't adjust it to not leak. So I put some rubber strips there. I'll put something more permanent there. But that is definitely leaking. That was all okay there. Right, this here, so obviously the bearing had, let's pull this open. Sorry about that. Right, there we go. So, I come up here. This all had to come to bits before we started, because there was a bearing gone on the bottom. Was it the bottom? Yeah, the bottom variator pulley, the mechanical one. There's a bearing tucked in there. That had to be replaced. That all had to come to bits. This, once we started using it, this was leaking oil, and had to have a new one. You get it's a whole unit, so you get that and this turny bit here. It's leaking again now. That hasn't done very much, but I've spoken to Peacock and Billington's. They're changing that under warranty, so that's good. I don't think anything happened up here with the engine, so that's a bonus. I can't really see, but the side panels where they lift up, these wire bonds that hold the two side ones, I can see one now, both broken, so they need renewing. Right. Get down now. Okay. These straw chopper bearings didn't have any. They're not greaser ones. However, it had got a plug and somewhere to put a grease nipple, so I thought, sorry, let's put a grease nipple in it. When I put grease in it, water came out of them both. So I think we can safely say that's a good idea to stick a grease nipple in there. We had to get a new camera. Now you could get a cheaper camera and just have a separate screen, but I wanted it all to be plugged in properly. That camera from Massey's was 600 quid, but I got one from somewhere in Europe, I forget now, and I think it was about 200, so it's still plenty of money, but a hell of a lot cheaper. Then if we go under here, well, it's going to be too dark in here. Yeah, it probably is. These hangers here, which is exactly the same as on the grain pan, but the hangers here, they were really badly worn, and this was wobbling about all over the place, so I put two in that side, and they were exactly the same down the front. They were really badly worn, as was the so you can just about make it out there, and then down here, that end of that turnbuckle, which is adjustable, that had really badly worn and was likely to break at some point. So I replaced those. The arms are okay, you just had the bushes, yeah. I think that's it for under there. It wouldn't turn off one day, rather worryingly. You couldn't turn off the barn work. In the end, we killed the engine. Apparently, it can get stuck with the mechanism up here. It's hydraulically pushed over. And Scott at Peacock and Bennington, who's been really helpful and seems to know a lot about these deltas, he said about that, and so I'll look at that he only done it the once. I'll look at that in the winter to see if that's getting caught somehow. This returns is all right, but I've no idea if this, and I don't know how to test it, whether this is working or not, this sensor, return sensor, because it just didn't seem to register anything, which either meant there weren't no returns or it's not working. So I'll see if I can find out how I can check that. Obviously this was a problem because this is the end of the rear beater. That's the shaft that went, that whole shaft, and it all this centre here went. That was the big several day repairs that we had to do, which was I'd have quite enjoyed if it had been in the winter time. Now this pulley, as you can see, I did say on that is unpainted because that had to be replaced. It got damaged by this. The one that was on there was unpainted, so I would suggest someone new, well, someone had replaced the pulley. The pulley broke because of this. I wonder if someone knew that was going and decided, let's get rid of this combine before we get a massive bill for a new rear beater, which is exactly what I got. Yeah, so that is pretty much it, I think, although that's plenty enough for this. I think the rest of it all worked okay. We'll just go over here, and oh yeah, we've just got to check on this, what's happening with this thing, this speed, changing the speed. It might be working, it might not. I've got to check that because I'm not convinced it is. Then we just wander up here. We can see the offending item. I've left it out on display. So here's the rear beater that had to get replaced, and this is the shaft that went loose. You can see how nasty that is. That sat on there and ate its way in. So yeah, ouch, that was out. So now we're going to have a look at the header. So a friend of mine down the pub said last night, are you glad you bought it? Well, my dad's not. He'd rather have the old one. Oh, and something I didn't say, it doesn't like linseed at all. It gets wrapped on the rotors. I think we got away with it, and it did it. I'll just pop in here and maybe we can see this problem. Right, the rotors up here. It gets wrapped on these rotors there, and it builds up, and then it will let go and a big blob will come out, but it's damaging this central thing here. It's bent it in, and that will need straightening out. Now, yes, it didn't get caught, and it did the linseed, but I tell you what, I sure as hell don't want that to get caught, because that would be a nightmare. So yeah, I'll have to have a proper think about that. So am I glad I bought it? Yeah, it's a hell of a combine. It's I mean, it's massive overcapacity for what we need. I will get on top of it. It'd been sitting outside for 2 years essentially at a dealership with very minimal use. Yeah, I've done a lot of work on it because it needed a lot of TLC. I've changed every filter, all the oils, run through most of it. We've then had the problems we've had with it. But I think now you've sort of got a list of, I've got a list of things to do, but they're all relatively small. And I know the way, I'm starting to get to know my way around the combine now. And it's got a lot of things to like on it. It's got a lot of improvements on the previous combine, obviously. So, and although the last combine we bought with very low hours, and you know, it wasn't too much trouble. The two previous to that, the first year we had them, we were sorting out everyone else's problems. So now, I think we've sorted out most of the problems it had. There's a few little niggles still to go, and I'm quite hopeful that next year we'll just go straight into it and it'll go and just be a normal combining year. You'll always get problems with combines, second-hand combines. With, you know, this is a 17 plate, it's not new, and I've got to sort it out because it's just too expensive to get people in, and there's an awful lot of moving parts to keep moving. But I'm pretty confident I can keep them moving, and like I say, it seems it's a hell of a machine. So yeah, this year, all right, it's been a bit of a pain, but I feel going forward from next year, now we've been through it, now we know what we're doing, I feel pretty happy that it'll go fine. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. See what next year's YouTube shows. Hopefully not it in bits again.